To meet the shadow is a very courageous thing to do at times, and it's something many of us run from, or deny, or try to bury. Those shameful or those ugly parts of ourselves that we really don't want to acknowledge at times. All of our old wounds that are too painful to revisit. All of our guilt and shame, sadness, anything that we lock in the basement, really. Anything that's out of our awareness. And just like the roots of a tree grow down into the dark earth, the roots being the beginning of the tree, so too are our roots, like this. Our roots grow down into the dark unconscious of our childhood, where we were subject to different types of parenting, which, it moulded us a lot in those early years. And much of the stuff that we're dealing with now with regards to our shadow stems back to our childhood, to the roots that were formed during that time, and how they were nourished by our parents, by society. And inevitably as well, we all fall prey to some level of unconscious parenting. We're all wounded in some way. But the alchemists call this material prima materia, which is dark matter, basically. This is what the alchemists talk about when they say lead, when they're working with that heavy lead and trying to transform it into gold. That's a practice of alchemy. We all can be alchemists. We can all transform our shadow and free ourselves from the chains of the past, so that old patterns stop playing out over and over again, so that old stories can be thrown aside, so that we can reauthor our lives and set ourselves free to create ourselves anew and become who we're truly meant to be. Meeting this shadow doesn't have to be a terrible business. You don't have to dive head first into the murky waters. Just be with what's in each moment as it's arising. Stuff comes up. Just be a mindful witness to whatever's arising and accept it. Give it attention and honour it, whatever it is. Whether it's sadness, whether it's a part of ourselves we don't like, whatever's emerging from deep within that's been locked away, don't push it back down. Let it come up. And this is how we meet shadow. It may be uncomfortable to kind of feel those repressed emotions. But ultimately, feeling this stuff is how we set it free. And again, it doesn't have to be difficult. Some of this, well, all of this stuff, it can be met with the light, the light of your awareness. And there's some beautiful practices out there that you can do which transmute this shadow with divine light, with a sort of almost angelic light. I like to chant mantras, and as I do it, sometimes I feel stuff being brought up from deep within, stuff to be cleansed and cleared out, and it's kind of met by this grace, this very peaceful and light energy coming down to alchemize the lead, if you will, and transform that shadow into gold. So the process of transforming that shadow can actually be quite a beautiful thing. It doesn't always have to be painful. It can, if you find like practices that you love. Journaling's another good example. You can really channel your shadow onto the page, whatever any thoughts or feelings that you have, you can splurge them onto the page and transmute the shadow in quite a beautiful and cathartic way. There's other spiritual practices out there as well. So it doesn't, it's not, you don't have to throw yourself into the depths of hell to work with this shadow. It's just important that you honour it, really, because it's only by honouring and embracing the shadow that you can become whole. And you stop being at war with yourself then, because you can become all that you can be. You become united. You become true to who you are, because you're not hiding any of who you are anymore. And you're not scared to show yourself to the world either. So that's the path of the alchemist, really. Working with this lead, most of which stems from the first 7 or so years of our life, from our unconscious self, when we were vulnerable to, the parental influence in our life that shaped us. That's mostly the lead that we're working with. And the mission of the alchemist is to transform it. so that you can set yourself free. And transform whatever's buried into beautiful, beautiful gold.